Welcome back to Supernova Traveler. If you are new around here, join our Travel Around the World family. And if you are a returning member, please remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, and continue your journey as we review another episode of The Haunting of Bly Manor, The Two Faces, Part 1. In this episode, we explore the relationship of Miss Jessel, the au pair who previously died at Bly. It seems like this show is going to spend a lot of time going back and forth between the past and the present to show us the relationships between the different characters in their lives. So buckle up for a slow ride. We start the episode right where we left off. Miles has waken up from fainting and the police have been summoned to the house. We hear about how this Peter Quint person drained the uncle's bank account of $200K and ran off. We then have a flashback into the history of Miss Jessel and Quint's relationship and how the relationship began. And we get to see some really emotional abuse going on with these two individuals.
Miss Jessel, I'm Peter Quint. I work with Henry.
Mr. Quint.
Jessel was interviewed for the position of au pair by Mr. Quint, and everything happened the same exact way as in the case of Danny being hired. Jessel meets the crew, and you can tell how Miss Jessel is remembered right away through the words perfectly splendid, which is now used during present time by Flora often to describe the home as well as the surrounding grounds.
Well, I'm not practically perfect, but I am perfectly splendid.
We travel back to the present and all the cast is present, the housekeeper Miss Grose, the cook Owen, and the gardener. They are all staying up into the night in order to keep out Quint, who is thought to be alive by the adults, but of course the children as well as the audience knows he is dead. As I watched the whole episode, I wonder if Miss Grose and Owen have something to do with Peter Quint's absence. We continue our journey of the development of Jessel and Quint's relationship. He first gets her flowers from Bly Manor Gardens.
I found these and I thought flowers this beautiful deserve a beautiful home. So these are for you, Flora.
After Quint gives flowers to Miss Jessel under the guise of Flora, he then talks to Miles and kind of explains the idea of keys and how to get to a person's door. And now we kind of get the idea of where Miles got this perception of keys and doors and trying to figure out which one unlocks a person's true desire.
People are like locked rooms. They've all got different locks and you've got to guess the shape of their key.
And then he has a midnight conversation, which is kind of the start of their romance.
It's a fine job, really, even if I'm mopping up their muddy footprints sometimes.
Even during Jessel's tutelage, there were muddy footprints in the middle of the night. So what ghost came before Miss Jessel? We hear from Jamie, the gardener, that the love shared between Quint and Jessel was poison. And as she speaks, Danny looks very pained by the idea of love being a possession.
Believe me, that was the wrong kind of love.
We've all been in the wrong kind of love for one reason or another.
But I saw how he twisted himself into her.
So in the past, Quint finally visits the house for a week, and he gives Miles his lighter.
Why don't you hold on to it for me? Could you like that?
And Flora makes a doll dressed in black to represent Miss Jessel. So now I'm thinking that these items hold a piece of the soul that holds the ghost to the plane of the living. Anywho, Quint stays a week at the Bly Manor, and the romance between himself and Miss Jessel grows stronger and even more abusive.
Sorry, I shouldn't have. I couldn't sleep and
While these two are getting hot and heavy in the past, we return to the present where Miss Grose is in the church, and again she is lighting candles, and she again has 4 candles lit, when we only know of 3 confirmed deaths, which is why, number 1, I believe she had something to do with Peter Quint's disappearance. She is also the only person in the house that continues to see cracks in the walls, first in the kitchen last episode and now again in the church.
Well, thank you for coming to our rescue.
Well, you always come to mine.
We find Flora at the lake, and she is with the ghost of Miss Jessel and falls ill soon after. Because of this reaction, I'm starting to believe that there is a jealous spirit that attacks whoever the children start to love or grow close to. Although the children have been through so much trauma the last few days, we find out that the Uncle Henry has been contacted, but he refuses to come himself to check in on the children. And all of these acts are extremely suspicious.
I loves all the colours, and Miles says if you mix all the colours in the world together, you get black.
Well, it's beautiful.
That scene was so creepy because it was like they are trying to make some type of surrogate family. Like, am I the only one seeing these resemblance between this relationship between the children, Pete Quint and Miss Jessel? Is like Jessel was hired, then she fell for Quint, and now all of a sudden the kids love them both? Are we making some type of hodgepodge family here?
I thought Henry the house would blow up if I didn't stay the week. Get back to bed.
We see the first signs of Peter Quint not being that nice of a guy. He takes Jessel to the forbidden part of the house and gives her a coat that used to belong to the late Mrs. Wingraves, the children's mother, saying that the uncle gave it to him for free as he was doing inventory of the wing. Now, this whole scene gave me Skeleton Key vibes, like the mirror was going to be used to transfer souls or something.
Not till the end.
They are found by Mrs. Grose, who does not exchange kind words with Mr. Quint, and it continues to go downhill from there. And as you watch the episode, you kind of come to find that Peter Quint is not liked by the rest of the house. He's literally only really cared for by Miss Jessel.
You see, if I ever find you in here again, in Charlotte's things, ever again, so help me God, I will drag you out of this house by your bloody hair and throw you into that dirty lake.
Alright, here are my reasons for thinking Quint is off his rocker. He comes into another man's home, cuts flowers from a garden that is not his own to give to a woman that is not his. He then tries to live at a house that is not his under the guise of doing work. He then gives the woman he has fallen for a dead woman's thing, saying that it is part of inventory to be sold. This man is walking around as if he owns this place, even impeding on the children's care by taking the attention of the own pair away from them. Everything about him is wrong, even the way he shows love and gives love. Nothing is given of himself. It is taken from other little spots and then shared. There's nothing that he's given of himself to this woman or to the situation.
Thank you.
Delicious.
He is legit looking like a madman in that clip. Let's see how this conversation takes a turn.
If you get hungry while I'm gone, why don't you see if Owen can find something to stuff into your mouth, since you're okay with that, apparently.
Believe me when I say this argument gets worse. The man is crazy. You have to go watch the whole scene. Back in the present, the children put on a play for Danny and company, and it takes a drab turn. But luckily and sadly, someone calls the house to tell Owen that his mother has died, and the group disbands for the evening.
I am so sorry, Owen. I am so sorry.
We also find out that Danny is a lesbian, and we'll look into her story in episode 4. Thank you so much for stopping by again and watching. This show is a little slow. But I think it is a really good story. I do think the acting is pretty good as well. Danny's voice annoys me, but I'm going to get through it. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Love you guys.